Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it right here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Joe Habib. We got a great show for you today, 323-870-3857. Let's get started. Prime Video. This was not a bad, when you think of like Prime Video, we always think about, I always think about like, it's Amazon, so it's movies and stuff. This was like their second fight, Beeb, wasn't it? The second fight on here we watched?
I think it was their second fight, but I believe it was their first non-pay-per-view. Was it this? No, I think this was maybe their third fight this year, if I'm not mistaken. But no. Yeah, third, because they did Tank, Canelo, and then they did this.
Wasn't
so it was
bad.
their third. It was okay.
It was all right. It wasn't crazy, but yeah, it was all right.
It wasn't pay-per-view, so that was the good thing about it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah.
If it was pay-per-view, we would be complaining about it right now. But since it's not pay-per-view, we can accept it.
Yeah, what are you going to say, man? It's not pay-per-view. Hey. Bakhram Murtazaliev.
There you go. Murtazaliev.
There we go. Murtazaliev versus Tim Tszyu. 12 rounds for Murtazaliev's IBF junior middleweight title. And Murtazaliev completely smashed Tim Tszyu via TKO in the third round. Tszyu was knocked down 4 times in this fight. He looked slow from the opening bell. He had zero defense. That left hook in that third round that knocked him down. I think it might have been the last knockdown. It was one of the last knockdowns. He got hit. He was aggressive. Tszyu was aggressive. He put his guy on the ropes and then was trying to wail on him, and he got hit with a left hand. And man, it was a left hand. Honestly, he should never have gotten hit with. If you watch his guard, his right hand has been dropped from round one on. There was and he was getting hit with lefts throughout the fight. Left hands right to the chin throughout the fight because he never answered the phone. His hand was always down here. And he gets so anxious to throw, he forgets about that defense. Next thing you know, boom.
Yeah, I want to be very careful here because I don't want to be disrespectful at all to Murtazaliev. But going into this fight, I said this to you earlier, there was nothing that we saw, if you do the research on this man, especially in his last fight against Jack Calcay, 39-year-old Jack Calcay, who's, with all due respect, past it, right? They fought for the IBF junior middleweight title. That was the vacant title they fought for. And Murtazaliev did not look great in that fight. And he was behind on one of the judges' scorecards, and he got an 11th round stoppage, right? So based off of that, and then if you go on YouTube, you look at some of the highlights. Again, he's not a bad fighter, but when you watched him fight, you saw that this guy's a little bit aggressive, high volume, but there's openings there, right? And I thought, and most people I talked to thought that Tim Tszyu would be able to exploit those openings, and most people were picking a stoppage, right? So, going into a fight, all fighters, I'm sure for the most part, they train hard. They do the work in the gym, but there's always a specific perceived threat that's in front of you, right? You look at a specific guy and you see how he fights, you watch his fights, see how he looks in other fights, and you kind of know what you believe you can do in there, right? And again, the threat level is different with every fight. And sometimes when, there's a guy who you perceive to be more dangerous, more challenging, has more weapons in his arsenal, then you approach the fight a lot differently, right? I think going into this fight, the threat level, the perceived threat level from Tim Tszyu going against this guy Murtazaliev was not as high as it would be per se a Terence Crawford or even a Fondora, because again, from what you knew about him and what you saw, you thought that you could walk this guy down and take more chances, which is something you normally don't do. Tim Tszyu normally doesn't do that. He's a lot more methodical. He works behind his jab. He lets the fight unfold. There's always a couple fail-out rounds. He's not a particularly fast starter, but in this fight, he went in there with this, dare I say it, almost a sense of arrogance. Like, I can just walk through this guy, and I'm going to be able to see. I'm going to be able to see everything that's coming at me, and before he can get his punches off and landing on me, I'm going to get there first. And guess what happened? Murtazaliev was kind of saw what was going on there. And even if you asked Murtazaliev, did he think that the fight would have played out the way it played out last night? He probably would tell you no, because most people who watch Tim Tszyu know that he doesn't come out like that. He doesn't bust out of the gate that quickly. And he's really disciplined in the way he uses his jab and sets up his shots, right? And he kind of circles his opponent and probes from the outside a little bit before he decides to dart in. This fight, he was just walking in almost with the reckless abandon, because, again, the perceived threat going into this fight was not high. He did not anticipate that Murtazaliev would be able to do what he did. And Murtazaliev was the guy who was more calculated. He was more measured. He was more patient. And he let Tszyu come to him. He said, oh, okay, I'm gonna catch this guy coming in with my jab. I'm gonna catch this guy when he lunges in with a right hand. I'm gonna whip my left hook around and counter over the top of it. And that's what happened. And then we got hit with that left hook in the first round. And we talk about this all the time. Sometimes a guy gets hit with a shot and he just never recovers, especially when that shot lands early in a fight.
It's tough to come back early in a fight from a shot like that. It's tough. And not to mention he was knocked down again 3 times in that second round.
That fight should have been stopped in the second round. That fight
should have been stopped in the second round. That fight should have been stopped in the third round, and it was. However, the ref should have stopped that fight sooner than it was.
Yeah.
Because he took a lot of unnecessary punishment he didn't need to take. Some punches that he didn't need to take, man.
Now, everybody is talking about, Tim Tszyu should fire his team. This was a horrible this is horrible matchmaking. This fight should have never been made. Should have took the rest of the year off.
Based on bullshit.
What?
Based on bullshit. What?
You know, no one was saying this before the fight. The guy was a 7-1 underdog. And again, with all due respect to him, maybe he always had this ability, but never had to use it against lesser opposition. Whatever the case may be, you can only base an opinion off what you see. And there was nothing to suggest, with all due respect from Bakhram, that that what he did last night was going to happen based off of his previous fights, and most notably in that fight against Jack Kalke. So no one expected this to happen. Now everyone's pretending like they did, which is, I don't even know why I go on Twitter. I do it to myself.
You do it to yourself.
I'm a masochist. I go on there, and the longer I stay on there, the dumber I get, the more brain cells I lose. I'm like a battered, I don't know. I didn't even want to say that because I don't want to bring that. I don't want to put that into the universe because
don't make me call HR. I don't want to call HR. Show.
But I keep going back for more punishment, and I go on there and I listen to all these guys who have a BA in business management, and they're the managers, and they never would have put him in there with this guy, but you didn't say it the fight before. Again,
they didn't bet on him. I guarantee that they didn't bet on him.
No bet slips, nothing. But all of a sudden, the next day, everybody's got a juris doctrine in fucking business management.
Did you hear about anybody picking Murtazaliev prior
Not
to
one?
Not one, right?
Not one.
Not one person. Not one. But now, everybody had him. It was a bad style matchup. I knew this was going to happen.
What were they doing? Putting him in there. Acting like, and
like
again, with all due respect.
What was going to happen, right? Yes,
with all due respect, they were acting like Murtazaliev was fucking Mike Tyson.
Right.
Now, the following day. When you weren't saying that the day before.
No, nobody had that the day before.
And I don't want to take anything away from this guy. That was a fucking beautiful performance. But there's no way in hell that anyone envisioned that. Even he, I'll repeat, if you told him the night before, hey, you're going to get a 3rd round knockout against Tim Tszyu and you're going to knock him down 4 times, there's no way that's going to happen. This is going to be a tough fight. Maybe I'll get him late, but I ain't going to blow him out like that. Even if you told him that, when he saw Tim Tszyu coming at him, throwing one punch at a time like that, opening himself up like a madman. I don't want to be disrespectful to him either, but going at him with a reckless abandon, his eyes must have lit up. This was an early Christmas present. Tim Tszyu we've never seen Murtazaliev fight like that, and we've never really seen Tim Tszyu fight like that either. He went in there like he was in there with Robert Herrick or something. That's what he did.
Come on, stop it. What's the matter with you?
I'll take that back.
Omar Rodriguez picked Murtazaliev this morning before he watched the fight. Yeah. Boxing Learner said he saw one guy pick him, and that was it. That was Murtazaliev family members. Many saw Bakhram as a risky bout for him. Who?
No one saw him as a risky bout.
Nobody.
It's him being a 7-1 underdog. He's a risky bout today.
Yeah, he's a risky. Right, exactly.
Monday morning quarterbacking.
Right. Stop it. What's the matter with you? You know, I tell you, you think about this. Now, Tszyu had a shirt, and it had like Charlo's name on it. It said Tszyu's hit list or whatever. At the, I guess at the weigh-in or the.
A little bit cocky going into this fight, Eric.
Yeah. Oh,
He's real. He's a little bit cocky
going
into this fight.
He sure was.
And he paid for it.
Sure was.
I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone involved in this fight, but
stop it, Jesus M. I wasn't. Stop it. Just stop. Come on.
Guess what?
Great. Show me your bet slip.
I don't believe you.
I don't believe it either.
I don't believe you at all.
Nonsense.
So the more you say it, the more I'm going to tell you, I don't believe you.
So it said Charlo, Spence, Crawford, all the names that Tszyu came in, and they were clamored for after this fight. You know what I mean? They were talking a lot about this. Canelo was on that list and everything like that on his shirt. You know, he had Crawford, Canelo, and Charlo, maybe. I don't know.
And this isn't the end. I don't think this is the end.
But like, wow. I mean, how do you go from that? I mean, those names are nowhere in the stars for you right now. After this, you're going to have to get like a couple of get-back fights before you even come back into the fold here. You know what I mean? This was bad.
Back-to-back losses, Eric.
It's
a hard road back.
Real bad. And you know what? And you can say back-to-back losses. And you can give the Fundora one, and you could say, yeah, but he got his, but, okay, whatever. But this one, there's no buts to it. Yeah, I mean, let's face it. He, in a lot of ways, he was exposed last night. I mean, it just is. Because going forward, I mean, how would he do against Charlo or Crawford? Who knows? I mean, Crawford, he has no chance against Crawford.
I don't think he beats Crawford. I do think he could beat Jamel, maybe.
Does he beat Spence? I guess we have to see how Spence
maybe.
looks. I don't know.
Mean, again,
there's still big names in there he can fight. Yeah. But he's not getting that fight anytime soon.
Yeah.
Anytime soon.
No.
Yeah. Rafael hit it right on the head, man. Back to the Australian circuit. That's where he's got to go. He's got to go back there. He's got to fight a couple of people.
Shout out to HLD in the chat because he made a good point. And I'm going to agree with him on this. I'm not going to criticize his team for the matchmaking. What I am going to criticize his team for is I think they failed him in the Fundora fight because they should have went to the doctor and had that cut looked at, and they should have stopped that fight due to the illegal elbow that landed on the head, because that blood was never going to stop. I don't care how good of a cut man you are. They should have pulled him out. They should have found a way to pull him out of that fight and have that fight be a no contest. That's what they should have done in that situation. I think they fucked up again here by allowing him to go out after the second round. So if you want to argue that his team maybe is not acting appropriately in his best interest health-wise in that regard, that's fine. But there was no problem with the matchmaking last night. Just cut the shit with that. That's bullshit. If you're trying to say that that's the case today, you're a Monday morning quarterbacking it. You're a liar, and I don't believe you. If I was a member of Congress, I would try to pass a bill to make Monday morning quarterback illegal. And if anyone did it, I would give them $1,000 fine. That's how sick I am when people Monday morning quarterback.
Oh, come on. What do you tell? I mean, give me a break, babe. Jeez.
Maybe I wouldn't do it. Maybe I wouldn't go that far, but
All right. Yeah. I mean, let's dial it back.
I'm just a little upset. I'm a little upset when I go on Twitter. It's my own fault. It's not my.
It's completely your fault.
It's my own fault.
Yeah. So let's talk about this because you brought up a good point, or maybe the guy in the chat brought up a good point.
HLD, yeah.
HLD said that, okay, his last fight, his corner, and we talked about this. We talked about this.
Did him wrong.
Over and over. They should have stopped that fight.
Should have said, hey, man,
No
this dude got hit
question.
with an elbow. This guy got hit with an elbow. We can't stop the bleeding. We got to pull him out.
Right?
The blood, there's no way we could stop the blood from going in his eyes. We got to pull him out.
Yeah. So, I get that. All right. And in this fight, clearly came in with the wrong game plan. Clearly came in with, he should have been stopped in that second round. When do we say for corners enough is enough?
Yeah.
And with a new corner, this guy is like in his career. You know what I mean? He's fighting the big fights. He's starting to get to where he's going to be starting to fight the big fights. Well, now he's got 2 straight losses on him. One really bad loss, and both 2 upset losses. 2 upset losses. And he was big favorites in both fights. Fundora shouldn't have beat that guy. There's no way.
Never.
No way.
Never.
He should have beat that guy, right? Not even a little bit. So, look, man, at one point, do you say, if you're Tszyu, do you say, hey, maybe I should make a change here?
Something you got to consider.
Let me ask you, does it help if he does make a change?
Possibly. Could help. Because I saw 2 bad decisions back to back in a row in terms of corner work that I wasn't happy with. And another thing in this fight too is you got to settle him down. You got to tell him, Tim, you can't just walk in this. You got to lay back a little bit. You got to work the jab, whatever. And he went right back out there and just went into attack mode after being hurt. And I didn't hear them at all tell him to settle down.
Yeah.
Get your legs back. Work behind your jab a little bit.
No. And I got to think, and I don't know how long, I don't know how long the corner's been with him. I don't know if it's for his career when he was named. I don't know. But I think you may be starting to see, hey, maybe they might be out of their depth.
Yeah.
In a little bit here, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
really the management team, I don't have a problem with the management team. I have a problem possibly with the corner. Because again, you're too slow to react in serious situations that you need to really be on top of. That's number one. And number two, it did not seem like the right instructions were given after that second round, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
Mars Boxeo says, I think Turkey is interested in making Crawford versus Bakhram in the Saudi Kingdom. I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either.
I don't hate it. I don't think Crawford is going to be down for it, but
who knows what Crawford's going to do next? Eddie said that he believes Crawford could retire next. I wouldn't take that off the table.
Well, listen, if he's not going to get Canelo, you know what I mean? He wants a big fight. He's not going to get it.
I mean, he's already been undisputed twice. Does he need to do it a third time? I don't know if he
could he do it a third time. You got Bakhram as a champ. Who else?
You got Fundora. And I think Fondora's got the WBC.
He's got 2, right?
The WBO, I believe.
Because he took Tszyu's belt. Didn't Tszyu have a title, right?
Yeah. Yep, Tszyu had the WBO.
That would
he's got the WBO and the WBC. Bakhram's got the IBF, and Crawford's got the WBA.
I mean,
but I think Crawford has the WBO interim. So if they were to order Fundora versus Crawford, then Crawford could get elevated to full champion if they end up stripping Fundora, which I believe they're probably going to end up doing because I don't think Fundora is going to fight. They're allowing Fundora to have one voluntary against Spence. And then I guess if he wins, he has to fight Crawford. And if he turns down the Crawford fight, then he'll probably get stripped and Crawford could be elevated. So then Crawford could potentially be the full WBO junior middleweight champion if Fundora doesn't fight him the fight after Spence.
I mean, what if Spence wins that fight? Do we really want to see Spence Crawford too?
Yeah, no, but I hate to sound pessimistic here. I don't think Spence, is going to win that fight against Fondor, and I'll tell you why. I don't even think Spence can make 154 comfortably. He looks like he's about 200 pounds right now, in between fights. So I don't even know if he can make 154 comfortably. And again, I don't know how he's going to be after that horrible loss to Crawford. And again, I hate saying this, but something does not seem right about Spence when I hear him talk. He just seems a bit off. And I hate saying that because I hope everything is okay, but there's just so many variables going on in this guy's life. Obviously, the residual effect from the car accident, and also the hard living and the alcohol, the heavy drinking, and the blowing up in weight, and all that damage that he's done to his body by trying to make 147 for such a long period of time. Stayed in the weight classes practically his whole career. He was in the same weight class, I think, for 15 years or so. Yeah. He needed or 10 or 12 years ago or so, whatever it was. It was a substantial amount of time, and he should not have stayed down at that weight class as long as he did because he was killing himself to get down there. Even when he won the title against Kell Brook, they were talking about how Kell Brook blows up in weight, and Spence was asked, is he concerned about that? And even back then, he said, I'm not concerned. I walk around at 170 myself. So if years ago you're walking around at 170, what the hell are you walking around at now, 10 years later?
Right.
So again,
you don't get lighter as you get older, typically you don't,
So I don't even know if this guy can make 154 comfortably and be okay.
Yeah. And they're right in the chat that Crawford did turn down that Fondora fight. They went to they were going to try to do purse bids. They asked Spence to step aside.
Fondora doesn't have the IBF title. What do you mean he turned down the fight in the last IBF? No, he doesn't have the IBF. I think Crawford did turn down the fight, but it wasn't for the IBF title.
Right. But I mean, he did turn down the fight.
He did turn down the fight. That is correct. But wasn't for the IBF title.
No. Where do you think? I mean, so where does Murtazaliev go from here?
That's a tough one. He could fight the Madrimov Bohachuk winner, right? Because again, I don't think Crawford's going to want to fight him. He could. He may fight him. I'm not saying Crawford won't fight him.
If Crawford fights him, if Crawford's not going to want to fight him, but if Crawford does fight him, then you can almost bank that he's going to go for the undisputed again. Well, because what else has he got in front of him?
I don't want to say Crawford would avoid him, but again, it is a risk reward.
There's no reason to fight him.
It's not a big at this stage of Crawford's career. It's not a big enough money fight for him to take that risk against someone like that.
Yeah, it's just not. And with him wanting to fight, big names and everything like that. The only big name out there is Canelo. That's the only big name out there, and he doesn't want that fight. Canelo doesn't want the fight.
Boots Ennis, his dad, Bozy, came out on Twitter and said if he can't become undisputed at 147, then he's going to go up to 154. And I replied to him. I said, you should go up to 154 right now. I mean, why continue to kill yourself making 147 to try to unify these titles? I don't even think you can, all the aggravation it takes to unify these titles. And again, these are not, with all due respect, they're not big money fights down. There's no big money fights for him down at 147. All the money is at 154. To me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. But as far as, how long does he wait? You know what I'm saying? He goes up to 154. I mean, he's been waiting for shots. They had Spence and Crawford over there holding the belts hostage. He couldn't get a shot. He's still not getting big fights. He needs I'd
go up to 154 right now.
Yeah. Let me bring Robert on here because Robert's always good at the matchmaking here. Robert, you're live.
Well, I try to be good at matchmaking, guys, but sometimes my matches don't turn out to be good ones.
So who would you put Murtazaliev with? Who would you?
Is a little upset.
Who would you put Murtazaliev against going forward?
Well, I would. I was going to say my point about Virgil Ortiz. Remember, Virgil Ortiz was supposed to fight Tim Tszyu in August. And I bet you he's sitting back going, wait a minute, I could have beat this guy, But that's a good question, Eric, because he basically put himself the conversation now of getting involved in bigger fights. I could see him fighting the Dream or Boacek or Virgil Ortiz even. I mean, he's right in the mix now. You know, let's say Spence and Fundora do fight, which I agree with Joe. I don't know if that happens, but if that does, he could possibly fight the winner of that fight. You know, and who knows what Crawford's going to do? I think retirement is a good idea if he can't get some fights that he wants. And Boots, I agree with you. I love Boots, but he's wasting his time at 147. There's no point to it. He needs to move up to 154. It's time.
Were you surprised with the Tszyu Murtazaliev fight?
Oh my God! Yes, I was. I mean, I'd never seen Murtaliev fight before. I even asked Joe when I talked to him a couple of days ago. I said, "Do you know anything about this guy? What kind of opponent is he?" And Joe says, "It's going to be an interesting fight, but I don't even think Joe expected the turnout that we got. That was pretty impressive stuff." And Tszyu definitely needs to make some kind of changes in the corner because Joe's been right. You didn't hear the trainers give him proper instructions. You know, it's time to make some kind of changes. I mean, that was a bad result. And obviously, Murtaliev is a lot better than what people thought, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes you never know how good someone is until you put them under the big lights in a big situation. They either respond accordingly or they freeze up. And this guy responded accordingly. He knew he had to bring a lot to the table in this fight, and he brought more than he's ever shown before in previous fights, at least in my opinion.
Well, listen, man, let's not forget this guy was undefeated coming in too.
He was undefeated.
We basically have a new person on the scene now.
Yeah,
people have to take seriously. So it'll be interesting
is heating
to see
up.
what happens from here.
So what happens with Terrence Crawford next, Robert?
And if I believe Eddie Hearn. I think if he does not get the Canelo fight like he wants, I think he's going to retire. I don't see him taking another fight at 154. And if he does, Eric, then you're absolutely right. He's going to go after undisputed again, which he's a great fighter, but can he pull that off in 3 weight classes? I don't know of a boxer that's ever done that, undisputed in 3 different weight classes.
Yeah, that would be big, but again, there's not money-wise. At that point, you're just chasing history.
I'm not even sure if he's concerned about being undisputed at 154 again. I think he just wants to close his career with a big money fight.
Yeah, well, sure. He's done everything else. So what else does he need?
I
what I mean? Yeah. But he's a hard sell. He's
agree,
a hard
but
sell.
I definitely want to see Boots go up there and put his name in the mix. I think that's where he belongs.
Yeah. I would agree. All right, Robert, we're going to put you on hold here. We're going to go to, 410. That's Baltimore, where I am king. 410, you're live.
What's up there, fools?
What's up?
What's going on, man?
Yeah, that was an upset last night, but like you guys are saying, we shouldn't be too surprised. We hadn't seen much, or really hadn't seen any of his opponent. But looking at the weigh-in, I was like, this guy's got height, he's got reach, good size on him. And these Eastern European fighters are very close to dominating boxing nowadays. Paulie Malignaggi was right. And 10 years from now, they may dominate the sport of boxing. These guys are well-conditioned, tough, super fundamental, well-rounded, very disciplined fighters. And they make it hard on a lot of guys. Tszyu, I don't think it's too complicated. People were talking all this crap, all this, I guess, it should be expected because it was an upset. But I don't think it's too complicated. He got caught. He got caught with a big shot early, and he never recovered.
That's
and to his opponent's credit, he didn't allow him to recover. He seen he was hurt bad, and he stayed on him. I mean, this has happened to great fighters before. I wouldn't throw dirt on Tim Tszyu entirely because the Fundora fight, to me, in my opinion, he stopped Fundora in the third round with a couple follow-up shots to that nose that was gushing blood that came from a punch. People got to remember, Tszyu's hatchet wound came from an elbow, an accidental elbow. The damage he did to Fundora came from a legitimate punch. That nose was bleeding, worst nosebleed I've seen. In fact, that nosebleed and that cut are the two worst I've ever seen in 40 plus years watching boxing. That fight was a bloodbath, and you can't expect Tszyu. I mean, the nature of that cut, it wasn't dripping or dropping in his eye. It was streaming into both eyes because of its location at the top of his head. Yeah. And there wasn't no stopping that cut. I don't give a damn what anyone says. But like that, short of shoving a cinder block in there, it's going to bleed. But this guy fought all the way to a split decision. Fundora didn't do much. All he did was up his jab output, which was a no-brainer. Guy can't see. He's got blood streaming in both eyes. I'll just keep my eye. And the punch stats said that he only landed 1 out of 4 jabs, but he kept it out there. It was enough to get him the victory. I don't hold that loss against Tszyu, and I don't hold it against his corner as much either. Maybe, but it's a little more complicated than they should have just stopped the fight. That was PBC's inaugural show, kicking off their new deal. They picked Tim Tszyu to headline it. If they made any mistake at all, in my opinion, is they made a mistake by agreeing to fight a 6'6" southpaw on 11 days' notice. Tszyu should have just told him, look, I know there's a lot on the line here. I won't abandon the card. Thurman got injured, but you got to get me in Merchant Lubin or a lesser opponent, and I'll still fight. But I'm not fighting this guy on 11 days' notice. That was a bad decision. But Tszyu says, and I believe him, he wants to fight and test himself against the top and the best. Where he goes from here, I don't know. I've seen a lot of resignation on his face in the post-fight interview. He was gutted.
Yeah.
That loss to Fundora.
Like he was broken.
Yeah.
He looked broken.
Yeah, a fighter can write off a loss like the one to Fundora because he got cut so badly. I mean, they could write that off a little bit, but this fight, that's not as easy to write off. They need to take him back to Australia. He's got no business fighting in the United States. In the United States, he's not anything at all in a small venue. And in Australia, he's a big deal. Take him back there, 3 to 4 tune-up fights next year, and all in Australia. And then maybe Tszyu can carve out a niche of an Artur Gatti type of fighter where, he may take a loss every 3 or 4 fights, but he's going to be exciting and blood and guts, and that might have to be his angle, moving forward. But, listen, man, I mean, there's tons of examples, but listen, the great Roberto Duran got knocked out cold by Tommy Hearns, went on to beat Iran Barkley and a whole bunch of good fighters, So I'm not willing to throw dirt on Tszyu, and I'm also not willing to crown, what's his name?
Murtazaliev.
Yeah. I mean, he had a great night. He landed a good shot, and it was early. He was able to follow up and get the stoppage. Great, beautiful, and good. But I don't think, people oftentimes overreact to a big victory or an upset win, and they think he's just going to do that to everybody. I don't know. He's a good fighter. You just see that. He can box and he can punch. He's got the tools, but let's be honest. When we get carried away, this guy could fight a top 20 guy in his next fight and maybe lose for all we know, right? If I was his handlers, I'd try to get him. Yeah. If I was his handlers, I'd try to get him the big fight. Bud Crawford, let's be honest, man. Bud Crawford has been clout chasing Canelo Alvarez for a year. Clout chasing him, man. Would he fight him? Yeah, I believe he would fight him if he got the money that he wants, and he wants a big payday. That's why he wants to fight Canelo. Make no mistake about it. Wasn't just but a couple years ago, Crawford was asked several times about fighting Canelo, and I heard him say, nah, Canelo's a super middleweight. I'm not trying to fight him. He's, three weight classes above me, this and that. After he beat Spence and Showtime went out of business and there was no one to fund the Spence rematch, he looked around and what do you got there? There's nobody to fight. He's not in the proving grounds anymore where he feels like he needs to prove that he's tough or anything like that. He's in the let me get paid before this is all done grounds. And that's why he wants to fight Canelo. But the bottom line is that Canelo has showed very little interest in fighting him. He's made it clear he wants $150 million. So, Turk, if you're, you got them bottomless pockets, this is what it's cost. If you want it, you can get it. It's going to cost $150 million. Otherwise, I don't think Canelo's very interested. And so, but Bud Crawford has shown he's not up to fighting these young guns. Not Boots Ennis, not Virgil Ortiz. Not this guy that won last night. He's not into that, and there's no money in it for him at this point. So, but as far as I'm concerned, Buddy either needs to retire or the Sheik needs to pump out the money to get the Canelo fighter. That's that.
There you go.
Enough is enough.
There you go. All right, Jerry, we're going to get moving, man. Thank you so much. Great call, by the way. Good call by Jerry. Jerry's on fire today, son. Beeb, he put you in your place. Put you in your place, didn't he?
Always a good thing when he comes.
Shut you up, didn't he?
It's always a good thing when he comes on and he's nice and calm and relaxed and he's logical. I mean, I can't complain.
When he's illogical, he's just illogical.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
This is one of his better calls.
There was a couple good points in the chat. So I had said that Crawford's a tough sell, period. Right. And then Adam Hurley, I think it was Adam Hurley, said that he's not a tough sell with the right dance partner. Okay. But who is his dance partner? Even with Spence. Spence was the one driving that pay-per-view, not Crawford. It just was. I mean, it is what it is. Bob Arum Top Rank got rid of him. Undefeated fighter, Beeb.
I know.
Undefeated.
I know.
Because he can't draw flies, right? And he needs Canelo to have a big payday. Because if he was the name guy, he'd be having the big paydays. But he's not. Nothing he can do to have a big payday except for fight Canelo. That's it. Which now brings me to my next point. Who does Canelo fight next? Right? It's got to be Eubank.
Probably going to be Eubank.
All right. I mean, because who'd he got? He got the Puerto Rican guy. Who was the Puerto Rican guy? Berlanga. He got Berlanga out of there. Another top-ranked guy they let go because they just saw the writing on the wall. You fought Jaime Munguia. All right. And those were two. Listen, there's no easy fights at this level. They're just not. Okay. However, there are harder fights than that for Canelo, more competitive fights, if you will. Okay. So he took two fights that nobody really wanted to see. All right. Nobody really wanted to see these fights.
That's right.
But look, and Danny and the Berlanga's no slouch. Yeah, we get that. But again, he's no Canelo. Am I right? He's not a slouch, but he's not on Canelo's league.
No.
Okay. That's all we're saying. Right. Gavin's Ghost said that Billy would be good. Yeah, but he's not going to fight him. He's not going to fight him. And this is the one that, you're hearing where Eubank Jr. fought a couple of weeks ago or last week or whatever it is. They were hyping him up. He could be the next one for Canelo. Come on, man. Like Crawford, you got Benavidez. There's no shortage of good fights for Canelo, right? But he's going to be content fighting a Eubank Jr. for $30 million or whatever, which, listen, it's hard to blame him. It is hard to blame him.
I mean, you're right. But I was talking to Maestro about this the other day, and it seems like no matter who the guy fights, is like his bottom end is like 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Because he did I think 700,000 pay-per-view buys against Berlanga. Berlanga's, with all due respect.
Did he really? Because I didn't hear that.
Well, that's what they said. They were saying it did like 700,000 pay-per-view buys, close to about 700,000 pay-per-view buys. I think the Munguia fight did like 600 or something like that.
650, 650.
Yeah. So I
That's
guess
huge. That is huge, by the way.
Well, again,
especially now,
considering in today's day where everyone streams everything, right?
Yep.
Where you didn't have this problem before. Like look at all the IPT services you have out there. There's so many ways people go to bars and watch these things.
I'll be honest with you. I have no clue what you're talking about. I pay for my stuff.
I know you
do too, but you're
I
way
know you
more
have
plugged
no
in
clue.
than I am.
I'm just speaking. This is just word on the streets. I mean, this is investigative reporting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
of course.
But that's the thing, these pay-per-view numbers are down, and they're probably going to be down. That's why you see all these ads during the pay-per-views. That's why you see all the sponsors, and you see you see how they have to put them on an app now, and then the apps are still charging you a monthly fee. Then they're charging you a pay-per-view cost on top of the monthly fee. Yeah. So there's a lot going on here, and these guys found ways to recoup the money they lost. They jacked the price up to $90 sometimes. Like, Canelo versus Berlanga, I think they were charging $90 for that.
Omar Rodriguez, thank you very much. He said Eric must be a lousy IT professional if he doesn't know about these other options.
Different field.
Different field. That's right. Different field. Don't worry about it. All right. So King KO. King KO's in the chat. He's a huge Canelo fan. Who would you like to see Canelo fight next? Realistically, and if you say Chris Eubank Jr., okay, but is that who you really would like to see him fight next? You think that's a good fight for him? Not being his manager or anything like that. I mean,
we're talking about from a fan's perspective, correct?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm a manager,
I'll tell you this:
I'm gonna fight Eubank Jr. next.
I wouldn't hate the Christian and Billy fight. Obviously, for me, the dream fight is David Benavidez, right? So if you ask me what the dream fight is, it's David Benavidez. Other than that, at 168, I would probably say Christian and Billy. It's not a bad fight because that guy is a very entertaining fighter. He's fun to watch. He's exciting, very offensive-minded, puts out some good volume. He can punch a little bit. That's an interesting fight.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting fight too. I don't think it happens, but I think it's an interesting fight. And I would like to see him fight Crawford. That's a big money fight. That's the fight. If you want the 100 or whatever you're going to do, that fight can get it for you. That or the Benavidez fight will get it for you.
I'm hearing people saying that they wouldn't mind seeing Canelo fighting Beterbiev now because they think Beterbiev's style would be suitable for Canelo, and that some people even saying Canelo can win. I'm not one of those people either.
I'm not one of those people either.
To be fair, I'm not one of those people. But
here's the deal.
I wouldn't hate the fight,
but
I would watch it.
I would watch it too, but I hate the fight. I absolutely hate the fight because that's a giant mismatch. Him and Bivol was a giant mismatch. Was a mismatch. No other way to look at it, man. It was a mismatch. And Beterbiev gave Bivol all he could handle. I know he won the fight. I get that. But that fight was real close. And he gave him all he could handle. What do you think he's going to do with Canelo?
Yeah.
What do you think he's going to do with Canelo? As big as that dude is, as strong as that guy is, yeah. What do you think he's going to do? King KO says, not a huge Canelo fan, but I respect his resume. I do too. Your favorite fighter can't pull up the same resume. Well, who's my favorite fighter? Who's my favorite fighter? Oh, Julio Cesar Chavez. I like Julio Cesar Chavez. Ricardo Lopez. Those two were my favorites. Some of my favorites. Boxing for life. Styles make fights. I agree, but do you really think though his style is going to match up well against Beterbiev?
I don't think so.
We saw it. I mean, we saw what style he's going to employ. He would have to box. He's not going to stand there and slug with Bivol or Beef. No way.
That's true.
No way. Fight Doctor in the chat. Shout to Fight Doctor. Yeah, I'm still trying to find out who my favorite fighter is here. You're the biggest. That's Joseph S.
What did he say? You're the biggest
F-boy in the neighborhood, but he's talking about Joseph S.
Oh, he's talking about Joseph S?
Yeah, Joseph S.
Guys, take it easy in the chat. I mean, please.
That's cold-blooded, man.
Please.
Come on. Come on. Oh, Big Baby Anderson's my current. Yeah, I'll take Big Baby Anderson. I like Big Baby Anderson. But I don't like ride and die with him. I mean, I told you he got knocked out in that last fight and he looked horrible, right? It's not like I'm sitting there riding with him, you know. I like him, though. I like him.
Shout out to the fight doctor in the chat.
Adam Hurley says Canelo makes his resume look good by fighting fighters with good records that aren't so great. No, I disagree with that. You can't. Okay, so there's a couple things here. You can't say Canelo's really ducked anyone. You can't. He's fought you look at his resume, Beeb, it's a who's who, right?
Yeah,
listen to these. Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer?
He's walking in. That was my next statement. He's walking into the Hall of Fame.
No questions. So he's got to be
Hall of Fame.
Listen, I hate Oscar De La Hoya. Everybody knows my feeling on Oscar De La Hoya. Can't stand him. But he never ducked anybody. He fought everybody out there, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I can't say anything with that. Him dressing up, him, in chick's clothes, using kitchen utensils. Listen, whatever. All right, I'll rip on that for a little while. But I don't really have anything to rip on him about boxing. I don't. He fought everybody, right? Am I right?
I have no problem with that statement.
He fought everybody. You don't like the Golden Boy? No, I don't like the Golden Boy.
So people have been sending me like screenshots of the voting ballot for the Hall of Fame. And I guess you can pick 5. Each person that's on the voting panel can pick 5, but only 3 get in. And I'm telling you, man, when you look at the names that are on the list, it's a hard thing to do.
It really is. Paz, I don't know.
So
again, somebody tell me the idea why Paz isn't on there. I have no idea.
He's on the ballot, but
why is he not in? Why is he not in?
He could get in eventually, but
let me tell you something. Before you say anything,
I know what you're gonna do.
He's friend of the show.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something else.
Don't worry about what I'm gonna say. I know what I'm gonna say.
That line you always say when we talk about your person, someone get into the Hall of Fame. Is he better than Arturo Gatti?
There it is. And you took the words right out of my mouth. All right. Is he better than Arturo Gatti?
Is he?
Yes. Okay. By far. Okay. 5-time champion? Yeah. By far.
Did you see the movie Bleed for this?
I got the poster. I got his autograph up here. That's right.
Did he sign it for you personally?
Yeah. Then he passed. Yep.
Wow.
The Pazmanian Devil, baby.
He likes you too when he did that. I could see
love Vinny Paz. If I had one wish, I'd hang out with Vinny Paz for a day. That's what I would do.
I don't know, man. You got to talk to Lisa first. That guy is wild.
Oh, could you imagine hanging out with Paz? Even now, he's in his 50s or 60s or whatever he is.
One thing about him
now.
He always has a cute honey dip around him, man.
Always, right?
Doesn't matter how old he is.
Always.
He can still pull the beautiful women, this guy.
Oh man, this guy. Who wouldn't tell me you couldn't hang out with him? The stuff he talks about, the stuff he does, done, man. That would be the ultimate gift, to hang out with him. Just hang out with him for a night. Yeah, it's perfect. Vinny Paz definitely should be in that Hall of Fame.
Oh, Andre Ward's a Hall of Famer. Oh my God! Of course, Andre Ward's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, stop it!
Andre Ward has people. A lot of people just don't like this guy. And I'll admit.
Do you think?
Go ahead.
Do you think? Because I saw it floated. Andre Ward could come out of retirement and beat that Russian machine.
Better beef?
Yep.
No, not now.
You don't think so?
Too old, man.
How old is he?
I think he's like 41 now or something. How old Andre Ward is. He's been out for a while.
He's 40.
Is he 40?
Yeah.
All right.
The same age.
I don't know, Eric.
Dude.
He had some injuries. He's been off for a while. He's not 36 HLD. He's 40. He retired when he was 35 in 2017. Let me see when his birthday is too.
Better Beef would destroy him? Maybe.
I think Better Beef would beat him. But
Ward is a dog, man. Ward is a dog. I'm telling you, knows how to fight.
You've always said this. You said until I see someone beat him. Yeah, he'll be 41 in February, which isn't too far off. So he is 40.
Yeah, right?
Oh.
AKA son of the judges. We got some Ward haters in here.
I thought he won the first fight, man. I thought he beat Kovalev.
The Oscar De La Hoya lingerie line. A Prime Wards gets KO'd. Forget now. Wow. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if a Prime Ward gets KO'd.
I don't know if a comeback Ward gets KO'd. I don't know. Good stuff, though. Good stuff. All right, so on this undercard here on Prime, we had Gary Antonio Russell versus Jaden Bernius. Russell, it's a 6-round bout. Russell's already taken 2 years off.
I know.
He won by 4th round knock, but I mean, like, dude, what are we doing here? I mean, what was the reason you were off for 2 years? You know? G Trading 8 says, how are these Russians so strong? Listen, man, over in Europe, they really concentrate on the fundamentals. I don't even know if it, you know, you hear a lot about the strength and everything. So it could be a lot of like resistance training or something like that they do. You know, but they're very, and I don't think it's like weights per se, but it's a lot of resistance. Maybe kettlebells, maybe some kind of like other kind of body resistance, calisthenics, something like that. You know, but I tell you, man, they train the old way. I don't think they have a lot of newer stuff over there. I think they still train like the old way because you can tell with the fundamentals. You really can. If you take an American amateur boxer now and you take a look at one of those amateur boxers from that European area, from Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Russia, wherever, you can see form-wise, they're always almost perfect, you know, with the stances, with the footwork, they do all the basics correctly, all of them.
And you want to talk about a group
Take one of our amateurs and look at them, and they don't.
And if you want to take a group of fighters that pretty much never really deviate from the game plan, and who fight discipline, like as you just said, it's the Eastern Europeans because they have it embedded in them so deeply and strongly because of their extensive amateur careers.
Yeah, that's a thing, man.
But it is.
Yeah, and you know they're going to be strong because this is what they do. They work out every day. They're in the gym every day. But again, man, if you watch like American fighters want to fight like Floyd, those fighters fight textbook. Big difference.
Those guys want to fight like Drago.
Oh, come on. Stop it. Drago's on steroids. What's the matter with you?
You don't know that.
It was in the movie. He was getting a needle in his arm.
You don't know if that was like a cortisone shot or something?
Clearly, it was steroids.
Well, technically, a cortisone shot is a steroid.
Yohannes Tellez versus Johan Gonzalez. Tellez wins by a TKO in the 7th round. There you go. On DAZN, William Skull versus Vladimir Shishkin for the vacant IBF super middleweight, Canelo's old title. Skull wins a unanimous decision over Shishkin, 116-113, 116-112, and 115-113.
Pretty close fight.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was a very close fight.
Yeah.
ESPN on Monday was Junto Nakatani versus Pechsor Chitpatana. There you go. It doesn't matter because you're never going to hear his name again because Nakatani wins by TKO in the 6th round. So there you go.
No surprises there.
No surprises at all. And I will tell you this, in MMA, DAZN had MMA, Francis Ngannou versus Renan Ferreira. And I say Ngannou because, hey, he did fight Anthony Joshua and beat Tyson Fury. Ngannou wins by 1st round KO, one of the worst stoppages I've ever seen. He took Ferreira down and just started pounding him. And at one point, Ferreira went limp. Like you could see his body went limp. Francis looks at the ref, and the ref just keeps looking like, go, just keep going. And Ngannou hit him with like 2 or 3 big shots.
If you have enough time to look up at the ref and your opponent is still laying there, not doing anything,
not even turtling
up, not even doing anything, and he's out, right? Then that's a telltale sign. Let's cut this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just don't get it, man.
I don't either. Let's see here. Upcoming fights. There's only one this weekend, but it's a big one. October 26th, Manchester, England. Beeb's old stomping grounds. On DAZN, Jack Catterall versus Regis Prograis, 12 rounds, junior welterweights. Reese Bellotti versus Michael Gomez Jr., 12 rounds for Bellotti's junior lightweight British title. That's on the co-main. Two chicks fighting after that. And then who else we got here? Pat McCormick versus Williams Herrera, 10 rounds, welterweights. And not a whole lot of star power on there.
No.
But that's all right. I don't think we need it. I don't think we need it, man. I'll be honest. That main event is good. That main event is solid.
Yeah.
So who do you like in this? We got Jack Catterall, Regis Prograis. Prograis is kind of a bit on the skid right now.
Yeah.
But I still think he's a good fighter. I still think he's a top fighter.
Catterall is a really good outside fighter, and when he is controlling his range, keeps his distance, he's very hard to beat. But there are times when he does kind of waver his way in the mid range, and that's where the fight becomes interesting here, because Regis Prograis is a counterpuncher. He's an excellent mid range hooker, and if Jack Catterall, finds himself, meandering in the mid range at points in this fight, then it could be interesting. But if he does what Devin Haney did and kept his distance and pot shotted from the outside, then this fight, could potentially be not a hard fight for him. We'll see.
There you go. I'm going to go off on a limb, man. I'm picking the upset here. I'm taking Regis Prograis.
Okay.
I think Prograis is going to be able to outbox him. It's going to be tough. It's going to be close, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I got a feeling, man. Maybe he beats him.
All right.
So I'm going to go ahead and take Regis, man. I think he's still got something left in the tank. This is going to be a tall order, though, in Manchester.
It all depends on the style. He does have problems against tall and long guys who, like I said, can fight at a distance and keep him at the end of long punches. Catterall does have the ability to do that, but he doesn't always do it consistently. So,
Jay Will said this is a risky fight for Jack, especially when he beat Taylor twice. In my opinion, this fight is a step back. I don't know that it is. I don't know that it necessarily is a step back. I mean, Prograis gave him everything he could handle.
Because
some people think he won that fight also, So
yeah, I think Prograis did beat Jack, in my opinion.
Yeah, in his last fight against Devin Haney, man, Devin Haney can make anybody look bad except Ryan Garcia, maybe. But what's going on with Haney? Have we heard anything?
No,
not
at all.
I heard squat, right? I heard squat. I just heard about his little lawsuit or whatever.
A lot of lawsuits.
Yeah, his lawsuits. Come on. Unreal. King KO says, I hate women's boxing. That's not entirely true. Babe, do you think? I don't think that's a true statement. Do you?
No.
What happened to that cupcake, man? That one cupcake, the blonde chick.
Ebony Bridges?
Yeah. What happened to her? She
lost her title.
When was the last time she fought? Because I'll watch her anytime, man.
Maybe about 8 months ago or something.
Huh?
Maybe about 8 months ago.
8 months ago. So she's just on OnlyFans pretty much specifically? I mean,
she still is on OnlyFans.
Oh, yeah, she's on OnlyFans. Let me tell you what. I tell you, I bet you any money, they make more money on OnlyFans than they do boxing.
Some of them do.
Yeah, you're not going to put I don't know, Katie Taylor. You're not going to put her on there and have her win a bunch of money on
she's
OnlyFans.
Cute.
Well, she is, but I mean, she's not Ebony Bridges.
Oh, like not like sexy, like not. She's not an OnlyFans style girl. You're right.
Yeah.
Who do you think won that fight between Prograis and Josh Taylor? I thought Prograis did beat Josh Taylor.
I thought Josh Taylor won. I thought it was real close, though.
Real close.
I thought it could have gone either way. I thought it really could have gone either way. Gavin's Ghost says she's preggers, Eric. Well, I can tell you this. It's not mine. There you go.
She's pregnant?
Not by me.
Ebony Bridges is pregnant? Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. How do you think she got those ratings on OnlyFans? You know what I'm saying? Did you hear that? You remember the Catch Me Outside girl?
No.
You know who I'm talking about? You remember that? It was like on Dr. Phil the one time. It was like a snippet, like a meme almost, where like this video comes out and she was like, "Catch me outside. How about that?" And this thing like blew up and it made her like the star.
Oh, yes.
Apparently she's making like $5-10 million on OnlyFans. Like people are actually watching, you know, getting to see her or whatever.
What was that whole thing about Catch Me Outside? What was that about again? Like, what was she doing?
I think she was talking to somebody and talking about like, catch me outside. How about that? You know, and talking about let's go fight or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Shut up.
Dr. Phil breaks these people down like he embarrasses them.
Yeah, that's it, Dr. Phil. That's it, Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil's hilarious. I love Dr. Phil.
Jay Will said Regis in America would have gotten a decision over Taylor. Listen, I don't hate that either. Yeah, maybe. I don't hate that. Yeah, a couple people saying she got knocked up.
Dr. Phil's a hypocrite.
Sorry about that, guys. Dr. Phil is a hypocrite. Dr. Feels. All right, guys. And no news this week, Beeb. No news. Nothing. Nothing. Zero. Like slow boxing week, zero. It's a good thing we had the zoo thing here, man. I tell you what.
No controversy this week, huh?
No controversy, no nothing, man. Everybody's behaving themselves.
That's right.
Everybody's behaving themselves this week. Gotta like that, man.
About the Ravens, how the Ravens this week?
Who cares? Let me tell you what, the Bengals win. Bengals won today.
You're a Bengals fan. I'm sorry, I forgot.
I own Baltimore. Don't get me wrong. I'm the king of Baltimore. However, I am a Cincinnati Bengals fan because I live in Cincinnati.
You're a Bengals fan. My fault. So they won?
They beat the number 2 team in the league today, man. The Cleveland Browns just stomped them too. It wasn't even close. Man. Cleveland? No way. Omar Rodriguez asked if we're seeing the Penguin. I tried to watch that show, man. My wife doesn't like it though. Yeah, she didn't like it either, man. She didn't really care for it either.
Shows I try to watch, I can't get into it.
Nah, I kind of liked it, but it was kind of, I don't know. Did you see Joker 2 yet?
No.
That movie is painful to watch, man. It is bad. It is really bad.
You told me it sucked. I don't want to, like, usually when you tell me something sucks, you're a pretty good judge of movies, and I don't watch them. You tell me something sucks, I don't watch it.
I told you Terrifier. 3 tonight.
You told me that if I watched Terrifier, I would get grossed out beyond belief. And I
told you.
I started watching it last week. I was texting you. Are you fucking serious? This is fucking outrageous. Goriest movie I've ever seen in my life. I had to keep covering my fucking eyes. I couldn't watch it.
Check this. So the guy who plays Art the Clown, right? The guy, the actual clown who, you know, the actual clown, right? Yeah, I thought it was good. Jay Will, I thought it was good. He was going to be a school teacher. He was actually in training to be a school teacher. How about that?
and he got recruited to chop people up?
Well, he was kind of, I guess he had said he came from like a long line of teachers, you know, like in his family and stuff. So he naturally decided, you know, that's what I want to do. And he said that he was reading stories to the kids one time and he was making like these, you know, just doing his own, you know, his thing, you know, and they were really excited. And he thought that was kind of his calling, not necessarily teaching, because there was a lot of like, you know, if you're a teacher, you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of like,
sure.
issues and stuff with it and that kind of thing. But yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting.
So he just decided I want to become an actor?
Yeah. Well, he was studying. I think he was studying both at the time because he was doing like that, like mime stuff and everything like that and all that other good stuff. That's why he's so good in those movies, because he's like, you know, an actual clown type thing.
He's hilarious.
Check this out. What I didn't know too, found out. Who else was a teacher prior to before hitting stardom? Do you know who else was a teacher?
Who's that?
This is scary. Ron Jeremy. How about that? Was a high school teacher, special ed high school teacher. Yeah.
Wow.
Right? That's messed up. That's hilarious. You go. All right. Well, see what you learn here on here. You guys tune in, see what you learn. Hit the like button, guys. Come on.
See you thinking about Ron Jeremy.
I'm thinking about Ron Jeremy. I'm not thinking about him. I saw a thing on him. I'm just mentioning him because I thought it was interesting. Shut up.
You must enjoy those movies.
With the Ebony Bridges ones. Yeah, I enjoy those.
You must subscribe to the OnlyFans.
You bet I do. You're horrible. Educational Sundays with Eric and Beam. That's right. Where else do you find this, you know? All right, guys, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Joe Habib on X at JHabib1. Does anybody call it X anymore? Does anybody even call it X?
They're starting to call it X. They were having
Are
a hard
they?
time distinguishing between Twitter and X. People are starting to call it X now. Yeah, they're coming around.
Yeah. All right. All right. At JHabib1, you can find him there. Our YouTube channel, ringsidereporterlive.com. And you can find me on X at ringside73. And guys, we will see you next week.